Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And we have a great article here from Verizon's News Center. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So the second half, the Root Metrics full report is out. And this is what this article is referring to in terms of Verizon has the best 5G network in America. And Root Metrics gave that to them. On the 5G portion of the report, the only thing that T-Mobile won was the availability. That is it. Everything else went to Verizon, and you'll see that in this article. Some interesting something interesting to note is Verizon is now claiming now more than 280 million people have access to Verizon's ultra wideband. So recently, for those of you who watched that video, Sampath replied to one of my comments on X, and he said 90% of planned sites with midband are planned for this year. So I don't know what the equivalent would be in pops that gets them to, but if I had to take a guess, if they're claiming more than 280 now, this is more rural, the tier 2 and tier 3 markets that they're moving into now, by the way. The smaller markets. So it's a lot harder to gain pops in those areas. More sites are more spread out. You're covering less population when you get midband to those areas. So I would say if they're going to report the next numbers, let's say in Q1 2026, they could possibly get to 290, 295. I could see that being a realistic number. And then they probably would need, if 300 million pops is the goal, they would probably need a good chunk of 26 to get there. Maybe the first half of 26, you put your heads down one more time, you build, you get to 300 million pops, and then who knows, right? Does it go beyond that? T-Mobile's claiming, I think recently they claimed like 308 million pops. So who knows, right? Who knows if it goes beyond 300 million? And then there's something else to look at as well, right? A lot of people are messaging me and saying, hey, Verizon is claiming 280 million pops, but in my metro, I'm like PEA 40, right? As an example, I still have like 20 cell sites that don't have C-band, right? Those are the messages that I get. And I'm like, that's probably true, right? So from a population perspective, from a pop count, T-Mobile is not really looking at it that much anymore, right? They're more serious about now getting the C-band to those remaining 20 cell sites in the 40th PEA, and they want to change the experience, right? So they have to get C-band as quickly as possible as they can on all planned sites. And in the top 100 markets, that should be just about all sites. I don't see them missing sites with C-band at least in the top 100 markets. It's needed, right? They have a much bigger play to make. I understand what T-Mobile is doing. They want to be loud. They want to scale. They want to grow. They want to build their FWA base off of the extra capacity. Verizon is looking at it like we need to get C-band on every single infrastructure we have. I don't care if it's a macro, if it's a rooftop, if it's a DAS, if it's a small cell. We need to get that on there to create the most amount of capacity possible so I can sell my FWA. They're not stopping at 8 to 9 million. They're not stopping there. And then when they give us the next round of guidance, maybe it's 12, 13, 14. They're not stopping there either. They're going to continue going. This FWA business model that Verizon presented us with when they first announced at the first analyst day post C-band, it was a model that's going to take them to whatever number they want to get to or whatever number of people want to switch. Are there still limitations? Yes, but Verizon is looking at it like, if there's a neighborhood full of homes, I want to get this service to as many homes as possible. And then if I have all those people sold on the product and they have it in their living room, then we look at, okay, how can we offset this? Do we need to build small cells? Do we need to offload? We could look at it like that, but we have a sell first approach, sell, and then we look at our capacity situation after the fact. right? Knowing they should have enough capacity to fill the slots, but then after you might have to say, okay, if usage increases by I don't know, 10% annually, I'm going to have to build more, right? T-Mobile's not looking at it the same way. And we've discussed that in plenty of videos. T-Mobile says, this is the amount of percentage more capacity that I have. I know my mobile users, no matter how much I grow, are not going to fill up that capacity. Let me open it up to these homes, the FWA, and then once those are filled, I'm closing it up. I'm not selling anymore. I don't care what happens. I'm not selling anymore. And I'm not investing into a small cell or potentially another macro to sell more. That's how T-Mobile views it. Verizon is like, no, we're looking at constant solutions on how to sell more. This is a revenue driving business. We're already at over $1 billion in this business, and we want to continue. So Verizon is always looking, okay, can I build like 4 or 5 small cells here? If I can I put millimeter wave? Boom, there you go. More people. Do I need to build another macro? That's how Verizon is constantly evolving and looking at the network. T-Mobile does not look at it the same way. So 2 totally different approaches. And we know AT&T is not looking at it in any way, shape, or form as T-Mobile and Verizon. So they're doing their own thing. They're more interested in fiber. So a very interesting approach by Verizon. They're looking to really invest big on the C-band, and they're going to do that again this year in a big way. 17.5 to 18.5. That's the range of billions of capex that they want to be in. This is prior even to the Frontier closure. Keep in mind, once they close Frontier, there is more of that capex chunk that's going to go towards Frontier, right? Some of that chunk now goes towards Fios, and we understand that. And they have some international business and some other things. But there's going to be more capex going towards a bigger part of the business once that Frontier deal closes. So Verizon is looking to very quickly now heavily invest back into the C-band to get that deployed as quickly as possible. Right by 2026, I'll go on record and say there shouldn't be many sites that are planned that are still without C-band. Like for my market, I already know right off the top. I don't have to look into it too deep. I know there are several sites just close to me in my immediate area that don't have C-band today. I fully expect them to have C-band by the end of the year, plus additional sites deployed, right? So that's kind of a massive money going into the local pot that they're spending and deploying in my market. And I'm sure they're doing that in other markets too. But be on the lookout for this to scale, at least the mid-band piece, right? If you ask me about this whole DSS and moving PCS, AWS over to NR, I'm not really sure on that strategy. Verizon hasn't been really clear on it. I'm told in markets where they don't have 850, they're going to do DSS on PCS. So that's an interesting situation. But if you're looking for the complete total package, right, if you want that, and I'm just saying like from AWS, PCS to low band and all of that dedicated on a NR side, and you want the slicing and everything, right? Verizon can offer that, but they have limitations because they're only really doing that on the mid-band piece. T-Mobile, they have 4 carriers ready to go today, locked and loaded, a 5th carrier coming in the future with the S25 and the X80. They're going to start doing AWS dedicated to NR. They're already doing PCS dedicated to NR. They're doing low band dedicated to NR, and they're doing the mid band dedicated to NR. So Verizon is not really doing much of that today. They're doing the mid band, but they're not really doing much else, right? Especially the low band. I know in some situations they are doing it, but they can't do it nationwide. AT&T is in the same boat, right, with the Band 12 situation and the Band 14 being dedicated to first responders and LTE. They're not really able to do much low band either outside of that 850, which they don't have much like nationwide, right? Like, for example, my market, AT&T does not have 850, so they have to like DSS the PCS and aggregate that with the C-band and the DoD. So it's just very interesting, right? Everybody has their own strategy, but if you're looking for a clean, just dedicated NR slicing, T-Mobile would be the way to go. But even with that, as you can see by the root metrics testing, T-Mobile still can't win even the 5G categories besides availability. So let me know your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all in the next one. Peace.